Greetings and welcome to STEM Smart Academy. We are going to discuss the Distinction School-Based Assessment Test, Grade 8 Integrated Science, Paper 1 2025. It is my hope that you are ready and you are tuned for this live discussion that is of importance as we keep preparing for what is ahead of us next year. So, if you are new to STEM Smart Academy, kindly subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any updates. I will also want to bring to your attention about our November holiday tuition program that is highly affordable. Our November holiday program that's ongoing. It's highly affordable to each and every learner. It's an individualized program with a team of highly trained teachers who tend to tackle the learner's areas of weakness, and the deal is by next year things will be very, very well. Okay. A learner collected muddy water from a river. Which of the following methods would make the water clean and safe for drinking? Remember that the learner just collected muddy water from a river. Muddy water from a river. Then we are being asked which of the following methods would make the water clean and safe. Not just clean, but clean and safe for drinking. Ladies and gentlemen, when you look at that question, choice A, crystallization, no. Choice B, sieving and decanting, no. This one will not be safe for drinking because we have not killed the germs. Choice C, chromatography, identifying just the purity in the water, no. Filtration and treatment, yes, you filter to make it clean, then you treat it to make it now safe for drinking. So choice D is considering both making water clean by filtering and safe by treating the water. So the most appropriate answer here is D for dog. Let's have a look at question number 2. Below are reference skills used in science. Which one involves the use of standard units to determine quantities? Underline the term standard units to determine quantities. 1. Choice A, measurement skills. When you're measuring, you must use some units. Maybe you are measuring using centimeters or kilometers, something like that. Classification skill, no. Prediction skill, no. We don't use standard units to do prediction. Manipulative, no. But measurement, if you are dealing with a unit of centimeters, then everything you are measuring should be in centimeters. So there is a standard unit you are using to determine quantities. So that makes choice A for apple the correct answer. Which component of integrated science explores more on concepts such as structure, composition, and properties of matter? Which component? When you talk about biology, this one deals with the study of life. When you talk about mathematicals, this one deals with playing around with the numbers. When you talk about physics, the study of matter and its relationship to energy. But when you talk about chemistry, you talk about the structure, composition, and properties of matter. So the correct answer here is D for dog. D for dog. Let's look at question number 4. Remember, our consultation number is down here. You can reach out for more clarification. We are now in question number 4. That says, the following are examples of inclined plane, except inclined plane. A road winding up a hill, yeah, that's true. A ladder, yes. A staircase, yes. A claw hammer, no. A claw hammer falls under what we call the levers. The levers. A claw hammer falls under what we call the levers. They are not under the inclined plane. So the odd one out here is D for dog. That is the odd one out. Let's have a look at question number next. That is question 5 of our beautiful discussion, dear learners. The following are examples of liquid homogeneous mixtures, except when you talk about homogeneous mixtures, these are liquids that combine each other to give one solution. That's why we call it homogeneous. If it gives more than one solution, we call it heterogeneous. So here, one they are saying liquid, so we can do elimination. So A is talking about sugar and water. In fact, this one is wrong. Why? Because sugar is not a liquid. Sugar is a solid. So that makes it wrong. So it's B, water and milk. Yes, when you mix water and milk, those ones are miscible and form one homogeneous solution. Let's look at choice C. Kerosene and oil. No, these ones are immiscible. They'll form two layers. So this one is wrong. Methylated spirit and water. Yeah, no, because methylated spirit will be floating on top of water. So this one also will be forming two layers. So the correct answer here is B. Oh, sorry. Let me see. Let me see. Liquid. Okay. Remember, dear learners, that all this we bring to you under STEM Smart Academy for free. All you need is just access to a digital device and maybe some internet connectivity. And just some internet connectivity, then it will be fine with you. Don't forget, dear learners, about our revision program. Don't forget about this revision program here, whereby we bring to you STEM tutoring, mathematics, physics. By that I mean, under STEM you can talk about integrated science, pre-technical studies, computer science, computer studies, mathematics in high school and JSS or rather senior school, physics. We do homeschooling both physical and online based on location and some agreements. So that is very, very good. So that is correct. Okay, we proceed. Now, we are still discussing this question. Question number 5. The following are examples of liquid homogeneous mixtures, except when you look at water and sugar and water, we rule out sugar because it is not a liquid, it's a solid. Methylated spirited water, this one methylated spirited water, we also rule it out. What is the question asking? The following are examples of liquid. Oh, sorry, I had not read that question well. The following are examples of liquid homogeneous, except liquid homogeneous, except. So when you look at it, sugar is a solid and water is a liquid. When sugar dissolves in water, it forms a homogeneous mixture where the solid sugar is evenly distributed throughout the liquid water. But now remember that, however, the question specified liquid-liquid homogeneous mixture. So this option is not a liquid-liquid mixture. Let's look at option B, which is water and milk. Remember that milk is a complex mixture primarily composed of water, fats, proteins, carbohydrates, and some minerals. While milk appears homogeneous to the naked eye, dear learners, it contains tiny globules of fat dispersed in water, making it a colloid rather than a true solution. Choice C, we have kerosene and oil. Remember that kerosene and oil are both liquids. When mixed, they dissolve in each other to form a homogeneous solution. Then when you look at choice D, we have methylated spirit and water. Methylated spirit is just like ethanol with added methanol in it and some pyridated, or rather what is called, what we do call at times the denaturants. Ethanol and water are both liquids and are miscible. Remember, ethanol and water are both liquids and are miscible. That's why sometimes when you go to these barber shops, the vinhoses, you will find someone has bought a spirit. Due to high economy, he decides to add some water to that spirit, but you will not detect it easily. Why? Because it is miscible. Because it is miscible, meaning they form a homogeneous solution. So now when we evaluate the options based on the question, and the question is asking for an example that is not a liquid homogeneous option, so what should now be our correct answer based on that discussion, ladies and gentlemen? Remember, this question is quite involving. The question is quite involving. The following are examples of liquid homogeneous. So this one, we've seen these ones are, that is true. We opt to go with A because A is not a liquid homogeneous mixture, it's a solid liquid homogeneous mixture. Study the diagram below and use it to answer the question 6 to 8. Which part allows urine from the bladder to pass out of the body? Urine from the bladder. Urine from the bladder to pass out of the body. So urine from the bladder passing out, it should be what is called the urethra, which is our which is in this case our urethra is a V, and V here is choice number C. So that is the one representing the urethra. Remember, not the ureter. The part marked dash transport waste from the kidneys. The part marked dash transports waste from the kidneys. Remember, when you talk about kidneys, this is what's called like, this is a kidney. This is what's called the ureter. So you can see from the kidney, there is this connection via T. So T is the one that transports waste from the kidney. Back to our choices. Choice with a T is A for apple. Let's get a look at question number 8. Which part stores urine before it's released out of the body through the urethra? That part is what's called the bladder. And when you look at it well, which part? Part R is what's called the bladder here. So this is the one that temporarily holds urine before releasing it out through the urethra. So that is part R. Back to our choices. It is C for cat. C for cat. Which of the following electrical appliances is not correctly matched with its use? 1. Electric speaker used for entertainment. That is true. Electric fan used for lighting. Do you really use a fan for lighting? No. We do use a fan to bring the cooling in the house. Air conditioner used to control the room temperature. Mhm. Electric refrigerator for preserving food. So the odd one out here is B for boy, a fan used for lighting. That's false. We instead use a bulb for lighting. Grade 7 learners in Gede school were asked, okay, it's all right. Convert the following temperature to Kelvin. When you're converting temperature to Kelvin, you add 273. So you are going to take 273 plus 25. This is going to be 892. 298 Kelvin. Looking at your choices, B for boy is standing out. What compound is formed when copper reacts with chlorine? Copper plus chlorine is going to give us called copper chloride. That is a compound formed. Copper chloride. The smallest particle of an element, the smallest particle of a chemical element that cannot be broken down further in an cannot be broken down chemically is known as a compound, a molecule, electron, and an atom. So, an compound, that one can be broken because it's a composition of more than one element. A molecule can also be broken further, electron true, but an atom no. So, what cannot be broken further by any chemical means is what's called an atom, the smallest particle of an element that cannot be broken down further chemically. We call it an atom. Question 14. Gold is used in making jewelry because 1. It is a hard metal that cannot be scratched. That's false. It reacts quickly with air to form protective layers. No. It is shiny, easy to shape, and does not rust. Yes. And a gold is always shiny, easy to shape, and never rust. It is heavy. No. So the correct answer here is C for cat. Miner wanted to keep food fresh for a longer period of time without using a refrigerator. He decided to place the food items in the sun. Which scientific principle was he applying? Silver? No. Sublimation? No. Evaporation? Evaporation? Um, I want to be in agreement first here between these two options and see which one is most correct. Remember that with a science, you need to choose what is very, very correct among the options you've been given. Let's reread the question, and from it, we are going to get what is required of us. We are going to get what is required of us. So we are being told that Maina wanted to keep food fresh for a longer period of time without using a refrigerator. He decided to place the food items in the sun. He decided to place the food items in the sun. What scientific principle? When you place something in the sun, you are trying to dry it. Remember, evaporation is the process of a liquid turning into a gas. Placing the food in the sun promotes evaporation of water, thus drying the food. Are you getting that? But now when you compare choice A and choice C, both drying and evaporation are related, but drying is the broader term that encompasses the process of removing moisture from the preserved food. So the most correct answer here should be drying. We do call it at times sun drying. Okay, let's have a look at question number next. That is a question on 17. Which one of the following is not a hazard in the lab? A hazard in the lab. Which one of the following is not a hazard in the lab, ladies and gentlemen? Choice D, flammable chemicals, true. Corrosive, yes. Open flames, yes. Skulls, no. So the odd one out here is A for apple. Question 18. Find the volume of the figure below in SI units. Remember, they are telling you in SI units. This figure is a cylinder. To compute the volume, it's normally pi r squared h. So your pi is 22/7 times. Remember to operate with SI unit. Radius is 700 centimeters. This is like saying 7 meters. So it will be times 7 times 7 times height. Height is 1200 centimeters, which is like saying 12 12 12 meters. So when you work on this, I'll be having now 22 times because 7 and 7 will go. I'll now have 22 times 84. So 22 times 84 should give me my answer. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 6 carry 1. 16, 17. When you add this is going to be 8. This is 14. This is 8, 1. 1848. Now this one should be cubic meters. 1848 cubic meters. Looking at my choices, choice B for boy is the correct answer. Choice B for boy is the correct answer there. Let's have a look at question number 19. Which of the following is a magnetic material? Magnetic material, we do talk about what is called the Tinska, where this one is for steel. So here you can see our magnetic material here is steel. That is A for apple. A for apple. Which of the following is not a source of current electricity? Which of the following is not a source? Underline the term is source. A wind generator, yes, winds generate electricity. Geothermal power stations, yes, they generate electricity. Dry cells, yes, they can generate electricity. They are a source of electricity. Lighting, no, lighting is just a product. What we obtain from the electricity is light, but it's not a source. So that is C for cat. Use the diagram below to answer question 21 and 22. This is, you can see the energy changes, the chemical processes. Identify the processes marked, these are physical. Identify the processes marked by letter M, L, M and L. So ice, remember ice is a solid. Ice cubes are in solid state. Water is liquid. Vapor means it's a gas. Then back to liquid. So solid to liquid, this process of converting solid to liquid, we do call it melting. Liquid to gas, we call it evaporation. Evaporation. Gas to liquid, we call it condensation. Condensation. Liquid back to solid, we call it freezing. So they're talking about process marked M. From our labeling, M should be condensation and L evaporation. Condensation and evaporation. That makes choice A to be the most correct answer. Choice A is the most correct answer, ladies and gentlemen. Question number 22. Which letters represent the processes that need a decrease in temperature? When you talk about decrease in temperature, it should be for decrease in temperature that involves condensation and freezing. Those ones require decrease in temperature. Condensation is M and freezing is J. So it should be M and J. M and J. When you look at it, it is choice D, though it's not very clear, but it is D. That is M and J. It was not well captured. That is M and J for D. A change, question 23. A change in force of gravity on an object will change its what will change? Remember, mass remains constant. So a change in force of gravity, will be changing it. Then you have the choices with you there: mass, weight, density, volume. Remember, we normally say that weight is given by mass times gravity when you look at the relationship between weight and mass. And mass is constant. So when you increase the gravity, you will also increase the weight. When you decrease the gravity, you decrease the weight. So a change in gravity affects the weight of an object. Remember, mass is always constant. The mass of an object is always constant. Let's have a look at question 24. A public health officer, a public health officer gave a talk on healthy lifestyles that promote kidney health. Which one of the following could not have been in the talk as a healthy lifestyle that promotes kidney health? Promoting kidney health. Drinking plenty of clean water, that is very recommendable. Eating a balanced diet, very true. Getting enough sleep, yes. Eating junky foods, no, 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 no. Don't eat junky foods. So the odd one out there is D for dog. Calculate the density of a wooden block that has a volume of 600 cubic centimeters and the mass of this one. Give your answer in SI units. Remember, you do say that density is given by mass over volume. So you take your mass is 60 grams, divide by the volume, which is 600 cubic centimeters. This and this one goes here, 1 here, 10. So this is giving me 0.1 grams per cubic centimeters. After getting it like that, am I correct? No. Why am I not correct? They want the answer in SI units. So once I have my 0.1 grams per cubic centimeters, I'm now going to multiply this by 1,000. This is going to give me 100 kilogram per cubic meter. 100 kilogram per cubic meter. Be very keen with the signs and symbols. So the correct answer here should be A for apple. A for apple. Let's have a look at question number 26. The class of fire that is ignited by combustible metals such as potassium and magnesium is potassium and magnesium. That should be class D for dog. Class D. Potassium and magnesium should be class D. That is choice B now in our case. Which of the following apparatus is used to contain small amount of liquid by mixing and heating? It contains small amount of liquid by heating which of the following apparatus is used to contain small amounts of liquid for mixing and heating? Just for mixing and heating. Okay, let's look at the choices we have. A, conical flask, no. Measuring cylinder, no. This one we use to measure. Beaker, no. Beaker we use it for heating. Test tube, yes. A test tube, you pour a certain liquid there, a smaller one, so that you can use it maybe when you want to do some heating or rather to do some additions or rather to mix chemicals. So the correct answer there should be a test tube. These are some elements that have the properties of both metals and non-metals. Which among the following pair shows properties of both metals and non-metals? Okay, metalloids. Let's look at it keenly. Phosphorus and carbon, no. Sulfur and silicon, no. Neon and helium, no. Boron and silicon, yes. That is correct. Question number 29. Grade 8 learners of Mazuri School were discussing the parts of a cell and their functions. What did they mention as the part of a cytoplasm? Part of the cytoplasm. Part A provides the cell with the structure, no. Controls the chlorophyll, no. Controls salts and sugar concentration, no. The part where the chemical reaction takes place, yes. The cytoplasm is the part in our cell where the chemical reactions take place. Question number 30. During a science lesson, during a lesson on human reproduction, Teacher Kamau informed learners that an ovum is released every month by the ovary. The process is called A. Fertilization. No. When you talk about fertilization, this is the fusion of the male and the female gametes. Fertilization. No. Menstruation. No. Implantation. No. When you talk about implantation, you're simply talking about the attachment of the zygote to the uterine wall. That's what's called implantation. To implant is to attach. Ovulation, yes, we do call it that process ovulation. The process in which an ovum is normally released every month by an ovary is called ovulation. Then that bleeding is also called the menstruation. Question number next, that is question 31, sorry. Joyce, a 12-year-old grade 6 learner, was worried because she has started noticing some changes happening on her body, which she thought were abnormal. Mention 3 changes she might have experienced at this stage. Remember that if they are happening in the body, then those are physical changes, something that you can see, and physical changes of adolescence in girls. So, one, maybe growth of pubic hair, growth of pubic hair, broadening of hips is another physical changes in girls. Broadening of hips, you can talk about broadening of hips or enlarging of hips. You can also pimples, appearance of pimples, pimples in face. Even you can talk about also what's called menstruation begins, the bleeding now. Menstruation cycle beginning, among other things. Among other things. Let's have a look at the next question. As Tom was walking home from school, he met his classmate who had a minor cut. Outline the first aid measures he should have taken. This person has a minor cut. So number 1, wash the cut with clean water. Wash the cut with clean water. That is to keep away the germs. Number 2, you can talk about maybe another thing you can talk about is what we call maybe raise the part of the body that is bleeding. Raise the part of the body that is bleeding. Apply some pressure to the cut using a bandage. You can apply some pressure to the cut using a bandage. This is simply to stop the bleeding, and if possible, you can, if you have an antiseptic, you can apply some on the cotton wool and clean the cut. Question number next. In the lab, learners came across different lab apparatus. Draw the apparatus mentioned below. So I think with the drawing, you can do the drawing. Just to draw the apparatus. That means you should be knowing their shapes. Let's start by looking at what is called the round-bottomed flask. A round-bottomed flask can look like this, and at the bottom is just round like that. That's a round-bottomed flask. Then, next, we are being told to draw what's called a measuring cylinder. With the measuring cylinder, it is something like this. You can have it like this. Then it has a scale. The calibrations in the scale, that's a measuring cylinder. Then we do also have what's called a conical flask. A conical flask, it's a flask that is in shape of a cone. That's what's called a conical flask. A flask in shape of a cone. Tima, a grade 8 learner, placed an artificial cell membrane made of a whisking tubing filled with concentrated salt solution in a beaker of distilled water as shown in the diagram below. You can see the glass rod, the thread, the distilled water, the concentrated salt solution, and the whisking tubing. Then you're being asked, describe two changes that occurred in the whisking tubing. So here you can see, remember the whisking tubing has salt solution that is highly concentrated. So the changes that occurred here, one is that describe two changes. The amount of salt solution in the whisking tubing increased. Amount of salt solution increased. This is simply because the salt absorbed more water. Movement of water molecules from a region of high concentration to a region of low concentration in the salt resulted to increase in the amount of salt solution. Because now water has moved from the beaker into the whisking tubing, that means that so here one we said that amount of salt in the solution increased, and the reason is describe amount of salt solution increased. The water level in the beaker decreased. That's because water moved from a region of high concentration to a region of low concentration. So this is one thing that we observed. Number two, because the level of salt solution in the whisking tubing increased, So we can also talk about water level in the beaker dropped. The water level in the beaker, decreased. Why did it decrease? Why did it decrease? Simply because some water were absorbed by the salt solution, resulting to a decrease in the level in the beaker. Explain the movement of water molecules in the above experiment. Remember, this is a question on osmosis. This is a question on osmosis, the movement of water molecules, or rather solvent molecules, from a region of high concentration to a region of low concentration. So you can say, explain the movement, you can say, water molecules moved water molecules moved from a region of high concentration a region of high concentration that is in the beaker to a region of low concentration in the whisking tubing. In the whisking tubing. What water molecules moved into the whisking tubing through the process called, this one I've already given the name, it's called osmosis. Differentiate between hypotonic and hypertonic solution. Hypotonic and hypertonic. When you talk about a hypertonic solution, a hypertonic solution is a highly concentrated solution with more solute than solvent. I can say hypertonic solution is a highly concentrated solution, a highly concentrated solution with more solute than solvent. While a hypotonic solution is a lowly concentrated solution with more solvent than solute. Remember here, the solvent is the liquid and the solute is the solid. Let's have a look at the next part. Question 35. Water and common salts are compounds Each compound has a unique chemical formula that allows the elements that shows the elements that make and their proportions. Write the chemical formula for water and common salt. The chemical formula for water is H base H2 naught, H2O like that. Then salt. Salt is made up of what's called sodium chloride. So it is capital N small a, capital C small l, sodium chloride. Sodium chloride, that's what constitutes salt. As a grade 8 learners were learning about fire safety, they were taught about different types of fire extinguishers. Mention two types of fire extinguishers and the type of fire they extinguish. We have okay, mention two types of fire extinguishers and the type of fire they extinguish. We have what's called the I can talk about the dry power fire extinguisher. Dry power, dry power fire extinguisher. This dry power fire extinguisher is used to extinguish. It extinguishes class A, B, C, and D fires. The dry fire, so the dry power fire extinguishers is basically used to extinguish class A, B, C, and D fires. Then, because we have the dry power fire extinguisher, we also have what is called the wet chemical fire extinguisher. Wet chemical fire extinguisher. In the wet chemical fire extinguisher, we use it to extinguish class A. We use this to extinguish class A and K fires. We use it to extinguish class A and K fires. So that's what you need to take note of, dear learners, in that question. Matter can undergo a number of changes. Some changes are temporary while others are permanent. Some changes are temporal while others are permanent. In the table below, indicate whether the change described is temporary physical change or temporary chemical change or a permanent change. So, no new substance being formed. No new substance being formed. That one, because no new substance formed, we do call this one temporary physical change. This is our temporary physical change. Temporary physical change. There is no change in mass. Because you don't have change in mass, also this one is temporary physical change. Temporary physical change. The change is reversible. The change is reversible. This one will be under This will be under temporary physical change again. This one still falls under temporary physical change because it is a reversible temporary physical change. Remember, for a permanent change, then it will be irreversible. A new substance is formed, but the change is still reversible. Because of this new formation of a new substance, it will be chemical, but because it's reversible, then it is temporary. So this one is temporary, temporary chemical, temporary chemical change. Question number 38. Plant and animal cells have similarities as well as differences. Outline 3 differences between plant and animal cells. Differences between plants and animal cell. Maybe can have this side here, a plant cell here. Then on the right, I'll be having things involving animal cell. Animal cell. So we see the major differences between this. One difference is that plant cell have a cell wall. Plant cell here you can talk about have a cell wall. Animal cell only have a cell membrane. Or you can talk about lack a cell wall. Lack a cell wall. Number next, you can talk about plant cells have a regular shape. Have a regular shape, while animal cells have an irregular shape. Have an irregular shape. Another key difference, because they wanted 3, we can talk about the nucleus in a plant cell is at the periphery. In a plant cell, nucleus is at the periphery. The nucleus is at the periphery, while in animal cell, the nucleus is centrally placed. While in an animal cell, the nucleus is centrally placed. Write the word equations for the reactions between oxygen and each of the following. Zinc. Remember, they want the reactions. So they are talking about zinc. And when they talk about zinc, so this means that write just word equations. So zinc plus oxygen this should give us what we call zinc oxide. Zinc oxide. Sodium plus oxygen. Sodium plus oxygen is giving us what is called the sodium oxide. Sodium oxide. Magnesium plus oxygen. is giving what we call magnesium oxide. Magnesium oxide. It's giving us what we call magnesium oxide. Grade 7 learners rubbed some balloons on their air. They then tried to stick the balloons to the wall. The rubbed balloon stuck on the wall as a result of remember that rubbing the balloon, that friction generates charges, and the charges there are now the ones that tend to make them stick on the wall. So this as a result of static forces, or rather what's called the static charges. You can talk of them as static forces or charges generated as a result of rubbing. A grade 8 learner was using a light microscope to view onion cells. If the eyepiece lens magnification was times 15, while the objective lens magnification was times 40, calculate the total magnification. So, magnification is given by eyepiece lens magnification eyepiece lens magnification multiplied by objective lens multiplied by objective lens magnification. And if this is the case, our eyepiece lens magnification is times 15 being multiplied by the objective lens, that is times 40. So this is going to give us times 600 times 600. Let's have a look at question 42. Magnets can move, pull, and push magnetic objects without touching them. The invisible forces is known as, these forces we call them magnetic forces. The invisible force is known as, so it is singular, so I should also make mine singular and call it, it's called a magnetic force. Describe three components of integrated science. Three components of integrated science. The first component is what is called biology, study of living organisms. This is just simply the study of, even I can talk about the study of life, or rather let me talk about the study of living organisms. Study of living organisms. Then you have what is called chemistry. With chemistry, study of matter. This one deals with the study of matter, properties, study of matter, characteristics, and the physical properties that matter undergoes. Then finally we have what is called physics. With physics, deals with the study. This one deals with the study of force. Study of force and energy. That's what physics deals with in integrated science. Given that the equation below, blue copper 2 sulfate, then you can see the end product, white copper 2 sulfate plus water, and it is reversible. The blue copper 2 sulfate can be changed to white copper 2 sulfate plus water, and this one also, once undergoing a certain process, you can see it can go back there. So that means Give the meaning of the following symbol as used here. This means that this process is let me see. This means that the process is a reversible reaction. Reversible, you can reverse. That's why you can see two arrows pointing on opposite sides. This means it's a reversible reaction. Then the plus symbol here means reacts with. Reacts with. What type of change is demonstrated? This is because there's formation of new substance and reversing back to the original. Then this one should be a reversible chemical change. Reversible. It is reversible because of the two arrows there. Then it is chemical because there is formation of a new substance, white copper 2 sulfate. Reversible chemical change is the type of change. Remember, our consultation number is 07 41 30 43 11. You can consult that number anytime for more revision programs and even for individualized tuitions. Don't forget also to join our WhatsApp group there in the comment section. Thank you.